the one thing that really stuck out to me and I really did appreciate would be how close the teachers are with you. How, because they get to make that bond with you, they get to really, how do I say this? They get to really actually appreciate you as a person and work with you on your strengths.
Hey, it's Tiru from Our Kids. I recently spoke to Simran, who just graduated from Blyth Academy in Mississauga, and she'll be majoring in business and psychology at the University of Edinburgh. She spoke about Blyth's small class sizes, which optimized her learning, and how the teachers there went beyond the call of duty, and how the different structure at Blyth allowed students to hyper-focus on some select classes. Check out the in-depth interview. So could you start by giving us a summary of what you've been up to since graduating? I know you just graduated, but what have you been up to?
Okay, well, since actually I graduated in term 3, I got to finish my courses earlier than my peers. So at that point, it was actually a pretty good thing for me because I thought that, I would get to go home to Singapore and enjoy with my friends there. But COVID came, so
Right.
we finished term 3 online too. And then ever since that, I've actually been binging Netflix. But more than that, I was helping out with a few things at school in term 4, even though I wasn't going online. We organized a few events for our student body as much as we could online. And other than that, I've been my best friend and I, we've been trying to come up with like a small podcast kind of thing to, just pass the time, but that's just still in the works. So yeah, I'm just trying to pass the time as efficiently as possible that we can in this COVID situation, really. But yeah, and I've gotten into reading more.
Okay, that's awesome. And I know your high school career, you bounced around a bit. You said you did your grade 9 and 12 in Singapore, then you went to Rick Hansen in Mississauga, and then you finished your grade 12 at Blyth. But if you could summarize your accomplishments and experiences in high school, especially with a focus on grade 12, what would that look like?
I think high school for me, at least I believe I really did use it. I really did use the experience as much as possible, not only in grade 12, but from the start of grade 9. In grade 12, if there's one substantial thing I'd say that I've done, was I ran for the elections at my school to be school president, and I actually won. So I was the school president for grade 12, and for me that was actually a pretty big thing. Because I'd come from a different school, a different country, really, and I'd come and established myself. So I've been really into student politics since grade 9. In my other schools and even in Blyth. And then we also, even though we're a small community, but we still try to get involved. So I did get involved in Model United Nations in Blyth as well. And so grade 12 was pretty much a mix between juggling stuff academically, but also kind of getting around to these extracurriculars. I did student government, and then I went into MUN, and then we try to get a lot of things going, but I mean, that's all I could do this year, because I feel like if I was in grade 11, I'd have done much more. But high school as a whole, I've done quite a bit. Like, I even got into basketball for some time. So I think it was a really fun experience.
Okay, that's awesome. And I know there's a lot of uncertainty ahead, but you will be doing business and psychology at University of Edinburgh.
Yes.
How did attending Blyth impact your decision to pursue that educational path?
So at Blyth, I got an opportunity to actually study this subject called Families in Canada. And in that, we had to actually analyze stuff from a sociological, anthropological, and psychological view. And almost in every topic or every unit that we did, our teacher, Mr. Hassan, he asked us to look at these topics from each kind of perspective. And even before grade 12, I had always had an interest in psychology, and that subject just geared me towards it more. And I was also able to take business leadership as a subject at Blyth, which really helped me make that decision of going into both. I'm still a bit confused into exactly which one I want to go to, but I'm really happy and kind of lucky, I'd say, that I got a course at uni that will, that I can focus on both topics, so that I can see which can actually take me further.
If you could think back to, if we could take a few steps back, and if you can think back to a time before Blyth, which was in your grade 11 year, what made you and your family decide on you attending Blyth?
So I think a really big reason for me coming to Blyth is because in grade 11, I had just moved here from Singapore to Canada, and we were really kind of confused and unsure about how the education system works. Because even though we have a bit of family here, those kids are grown up. So education system now is really changed and it's different. So when I first went into public school, I was really lost, because in Singapore, I was always used to being the person that people would go, to information for or anything, because I've been in that school since fourth grade, and teachers know me, students know me, so I've been so immersed in that school that it was like home to me. And suddenly I was put here where no one knew me, I didn't know anyone. So the first week I was just like, honestly, like a lost duckling. I didn't know what to do. And then slowly we got back, because it's school, you make friends, we get in it, that was all fine, and I adapted. But I couldn't for some reason adapt as well as my peers were to the way that things were taught in public school. Such big classes, I'd never been in such big classes, and such the way that the timetables were different. Because back in Singapore, we had a timetable different for each day: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Here I had the same classes for one whole semester, and for me to just go to the same class every day, it was a big thing for me. So it was a bit hard, and my grades were slipping a bit because I couldn't adapt as well as I thought I should have. And then I actually stumbled upon Blyth when I was just searching for courses that I can do, just a course outside school or something to get my grades up. And I saw I saw the way that they structure their year and their timetable, and I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my parents about it, and they said, okay, we'll keep that in mind. But what really turned us to go, what really turned us to actually choose Blyth was at that point, the education policies and everything was changing a lot. And a lot of people were really scared that teachers were going to go on strike and stuff, like all of that stuff was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And because that, I didn't want that to impact my senior year. And I sat down with my parents, and we had a good conversation about the pros and cons. And we're like, okay, it's 1 year, it's the last year, and obviously you have to have good grades, but you also want a good high school experience. And they didn't want all of that impacting my last year. So then we talked about it. We even called the school and asked about their curriculum and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then we made the decision. And then my parents were like, okay, why not? And then we met the school, and then we got there.
Okay. And what do you think you most appreciate having attended Blyth for the full year?
I think the one thing that really stuck out to me and I really did appreciate would be how close the teachers are with you. Because they get to make that bond with you, they get to really, how do I say this? They get to really actually appreciate you as a person and work with you on your strengths. So because there were smaller classes, we had a personal connection with our teachers. And because of that, we had more room for, to ask them for advice. It was more comfortable to go to them for anything, whether that be even having a normal conversation. And because we were so comfortable with that, just having that comfort in your teacher made it so much easier to study towards their subject and ask them for advice and actually just go and, get the grades, as you'd say. Because it's something that if you have that one connection with that teacher, and and the teacher knows how to make you understand stuff,
Mm-hmm.
then it's just so much easier because sometimes you don't even have to come back and study. You already got it. It's there in school. You have time at home and you can chill. So I really appreciated the fact that we can make those connections with our teachers, and which actually resulted in a really like, a successful academic year for me, and I really like that.
Hmm. And you said you did private school in Singapore, and I'm sure you heard about other private schools while you were in Canada. What do you think differentiates Blythe from other private schools?
I think one big thing that I hadn't seen in other schools was how Blythe's year is actually structured and about their timetables. I don't think I've seen this in any other private school here. I may be wrong, but instead of having 2 semesters with 4 classes each, they have 4 semesters with 2 classes each. So each semester is about 10 weeks, I'd say. And I think that was a really good thing for me, especially in grade 12 when I really needed to buck up academically. So for 10 weeks we're just focused on those 2 subjects, and it's 2 hours and 15 minutes per lesson. So you're spending about 4.5 to 5 hours in school, including lunch, and it's just those 2 subjects, and you can focus on them even after school. And they also have this Blythe also has this third period, which is called foundations. So if you really do have any problems or issues, or you just want to stay back and do homework because you know you're going to procrastinate at home, you can stay in that foundations class, and there's going to be a teacher there, and you can help, and they can help with that. So sometimes for people who go to for tutoring, they don't need that if they have foundations. So for me, the way that the timetable was structured, one, it didn't keep it monotonous, because like I don't like that. So it's like, okay, after every 10 weeks I have a new thing to do. And also it helped me meet newer people because your classes are changing constantly, and you can make new friends with those classes. And also that the fact that it was just 2 things, it just helped me focus much more. So I really liked the way that they structured their year. And because of that, because in grade 12 you only need 6 courses, I many grade 12s could finish in April, and they had a lot of time to chill, and they didn't need to do the fourth semester, so fourth term, sorry. So I was really happy with that.
Hmm. And this is a bit of a tough question, but if Blythe were to become personified, if it was a single person that we could get to know, how would
Okay,
you describe it in 3 words?
in 3 words. As a person, right? If Blythe was a
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
I'd say Blythe is very welcoming. Blythe is very, ooh, it is tough. Blythe is, I would say, very focused. It's
Okay.
a very, if it was an individual, a focused individual, welcoming, focused, and yeah, fun. If you want to make it fun, Blythe would be a very fun person.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Could you elaborate on those? You said welcoming,
Yeah.
focused, and
So I'd say, yeah, so welcoming in the sense where not only the staff, but especially like in our staff, our guidance counselors, Alex and Jess, they are great. They didn't even though it was new, and actually a lot of students in my batch, they were new. So I don't think we ever felt that alone. If we really did have something to talk about or any concerns, we could just, their door was always open. And even the way that they handled this entire online situation, like a lot of people were, we were a bit aloof, we were a bit confused, maybe scared, but online, they always got back to us really quick. So in welcoming, not only I would not only say that welcoming to everyone as teachers and students, but also creating that sense of comfort for you to go to them.
mhm,
Secondly, focused, I'd say, because of the way it's very focused academically, I'd say that it's, I wouldn't say it's easier to obtain your grades, but because of how focused the timetables are, how focused the year, how the year is structured, you really get to focus on your academics as well as your extracurriculars. So I'd say, yeah, focused in that way, you set goals, you get to do what you want, and the school structure helps that. And fun in the sense is we're a very small community. there's like not that many people. So it is fun if fun in the sense if you can make it fun. Like I try to get involved as much as I could, whether that be in student government and our student council. We did host quite a few things. We hosted a November week in which we had an entire week dedicated to it, and at the end we had a bake sale, and we also had 2 or 3 guys who volunteered to wax their legs because for charity, like pay $2 for the wax strip. It was great, and those are some really fun moments. We had sports day, and all of us, as I think as a campus, we really bonded on sports day because it was the first thing that we all did together, and that was really fun. And the weather was amazing, and they really did structure the activities out really well. And another thing that we did do online this semester for term 4 is that we did an online bingo night, and it was kind of hard to get it was kind of hard to get around to it because of the COVID situation, and everything was online, but we finally did it and people loved the game, and we actually collected some money for WWF. So in that process, so it is fun, but there is one thing: we really have to take initiative. And if one person or 2 people take initiative, Blyth can be really fun, even with a very small community.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say are some of Blyth's highest values that you saw in actual practice?
Is how accommodating they are. That's what I meant. So how the staff works around for the students to create such a safe and comforting community that can help them achieve their goals. So the one thing that how I saw that it was there is one incident happened to me is where my my world cultures teacher, we had these assignments going on, and she was very nice, and we were all doing it, and the day came to present, and I had everything in order, but for some reason in the morning, my thing totally got deleted, and I was panicking, and I was like, no, I worked so hard on this, and I don't know what to do. And I tried to email her in the morning, but I think it was a bit too late, and I went and I talked to her, and I said, Miss, this is what's happened. I have no idea what to do now. My thing got deleted, and I don't know what I should do. So she was like, okay, it's a problem, but first let's calm down, because I trust you, and you can do this tomorrow. But just to be fair to the other students, we have to if all of their presentations get over first, and we still have time left, and you can't present today, then I may have to see something about your marks. But if suppose we do not have time for tomorrow, if we still haven't got through the presentations, you're going to be fine. So the way that she was so fair and accommodating to both me and each of the students, she really held that up very well. Like she tried to help me as best as she could in the situation that was provided to her, but she also did not want to be unfair to the other students. So she said, let's do it this way. If something happens, it's okay. Don't worry. We will work through it. If not, that's all well and good. Anyway, 2 people had to present tomorrow. We'll just make your name that. So the way that they didn't just totally disregard my problem and, just be like, but you're responsible, this. They understood that I had done the work, and this is just, it just happened. So we are going to let you, but we're going to be fair to the other students. So the way she held up that integrity of being a teacher, as well as accommodating and being, understanding towards me, I think that was great. And not every teacher does that, but I think every teacher at Blyth strives to do that. And that is why we come out successful as students.
And what would you say somebody that's not at Blyth would find most surprising about the school?
Most surprising?
Yes.
I think about, in a way, how laid back we are as a school. You'd find it especially for me, actually, even coming from Singapore to Canada, I always thought that, it's school in Canada in general is laid back. But when I went from Rockhampton to Blyth, I was like, it's even more laid back. Because the way that if a new student's going to come and they're going to be like, oh my God, I'm panicking, it's pressure, it's grade 12, I don't know what to do. It's very laid back in the sense that, you know, when you go in there, yeah, everyone's supporting and accommodating, but there's no pressure as such to actually be like, okay, this is your grade, like no one's going to come and be like, this is your grade 12 year, this is what you have to do, da da da, and lists and lists and lists and list of them, and list, you know, pressures that are on you. So the way that, yeah, the teachers, the community there, I'd say is very laid back because of how close everyone is, so that you can just go out and say, okay, miss, this is, you know, this is what happened, or this is what's up, why don't we, you know, go and do this event and all of that. So I just love how laid back, and I think I was surprised as well when I came in, just laid back everyone is, and they're like, you know what, yes, we will focus, we will do this, but stuff's gonna happen, breathe. A lot of times my teachers have just told me, hey, breathe, it can happen tomorrow, we can do this, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. So I think sometimes you just need to hear that, and it's really nice when it's so embedded in the faculty, it's so embedded in that it becomes so embedded in the community as well, and it helps you really enjoy your year, especially your senior year, when you have that, okay, we can do this kind of moment.
Mm-hmm. And how would you describe the typical Blyth student?
The typical Blyth student, we're always wearing hoodies. You'll see, yeah, every Blyth student in a hoodie. No, a typical Blyth student, I'd say, is one who's always sleepy. Even though if our classes are at 11, because some of our classes go from 11 to 1:15, and then we have a break, and then till 4. But even though, because in my last term I came in at 11, I was still sleepy. So we're always sleepy. But I think that's just a teenager thing. The typical Blyth student is also someone who's always, you know, always walking around the campus. We're never stuck at one place, I'd say, because one, also our classes are spread out, but we have quite a few things we're doing. Some of the people are in the student lounge, some of them are inside studying, some of them are, you know, down, and we've gone on our breaks and everything. So you'll never see just all the Blyth students just sitting in one thing and just studying. We're always walking around, we have things to do, we're talking to teachers about how to make up with extracurricular activities. And I'd say one more thing, that a typical Blyth student is probably someone who's really, who knows that, you know, okay, it's serious, we've got to get work done. Because this is one thing that I've seen in most of the students, especially in grade 12, is that we know that, you know, yes, it's laid back, yes, it's accommodating, but that these grades this year, our experiences do matter, and they do try to make the most out of it, even in class. Even if one day we're not feeling up to it, or if one day we're, you know, just we're tired or anything, we're always just, we do try our best, because we know that this stuff matters, our grades matter, it really shapes our future. And we are very driven in the amount of universities or colleges that we want to get to. I've seen, like, many of my friends back there, like, even though, yeah, we'd be joking around in class, or we'd be, you know, laid back, but when it comes down to get serious, a typical Blyth student is driven.
Mm-hmm. And just on top of that, how do you think Blyth has shaped you as a person?
As a person, I'd say the way they've really enhanced my qualities. I'd say Blyth, the fact that they gave me, even though I was new, there was no discrimination in that way, that, oh, I couldn't run or stuff couldn't happen. So they gave me equal opportunities to do the things that I love the most, especially like Model UN and Student Council. And the way they just helped me, the teachers, especially my Student Council teachers, Mr. Hassan and Miss McNabb, the way they just, you know, supported me, and we had real conversations in Student Council about, you know, what's realistic, what can be done, and everything, and just let me thrive in my own environment. They let me grow in that, and then helped me grow with that. So the fact that they really enhanced my leadership qualities, there were as there are in almost every Student Council, there's always small problems going around and everything, and I could go to them openly, and they, in a very objective manner, told me, okay, you know what, this is what's happening. Maybe this should be done. Maybe that should be done. They gave me these suggestions, and then they let me stay with it, and they let me make my own decisions. So because of that, I think I really thrived in that field, especially, and they helped me enhance my leadership qualities. And another thing is that in grade 12, they really do let you be independent. So they, with your work, and also they, in a way, they kind of train me for uni life, because obviously in uni there's no teacher that's going to be behind your head and be like, get this done, get this done, get this done. So with a lot of the courses, they told us that, okay, you know what, this stuff's going to be there. I am going to remind you, but I'm just going to remind you once or twice, because in uni that's not how it's going to happen. So that way they really did shape me and help me prepare better for uni. And one more thing is that because we have so many campuses, we have our Lakeshore campus, we have our Etobicoke campus, and etc. So at one of the Model United, one of the conferences that Blyth hosted was one of the ones downtown, and that campus they had hosted, and all of the campuses came together, all of the delegates, and we, you know, had the way we all connected and everything. So just showing that we can even take the initiative to go beyond our campus and make these connections, just they helped us push us towards to better our communication skills, to better our collaboration skills. So just helped us be a better global student, because we got to meet so many different new people in that process, which I think is really important for grade 12 students, because in uni, when we go, and in college when we go, we're going to get so many different people out of so many different countries and cultures. So knowing how to be accommodating towards them, and being open-minded and all of that, the fact that we had that environment helped us learn how to make that kind of environment for other people. So I think that was a really big thing that I learned from Blyth.
Okay, awesome. And we both know that no school is perfect.
No.
So if there is one thing that you could change about Blyth, what would that be?
I think this ties into one of their good things, is that they're a very small community. And for many, actually from the majority of students out there, is high school, especially school, is usually a very big community. We have a lot of people. But Blyth was very, very small. If you've got 50 people, and out of, you'd say, okay, 20 people aren't interested in the event that you're doing. That's okay, because there's always people. And then 5 people won't make it. Then you've got only 25 people in that event. So getting things done there, because it's such a small community, is kind of, it's a lot of hard work, and many times a lot of things don't work. Like, we wanted a school dance, but it wasn't possible at the time, and one reason was it because of how small our school community was. So I think that it has its advantages of being a small community, because you get a personalized touch with the teachers. However, that kind of school spirit, I'd say, is much harder to garner because of that small community. And you'd really have to have at least 10-15 people that are fully into it and committed to get stuff done and to build school spirit. So I'd say, because it's a small school, then a few of those opportunities are less, and maybe you won't get that part of the high school experience, the school spirit part. But if your main focus is academics, then those smaller classes help.
And I know you're only a few months removed from high school, but how would you say your perspective about Blyth has evolved over time?
I'd say that first, especially with this online thing, all of us were very annoyed. I don't think we were really annoyed at Blyth specifically. We were really annoyed at the entire situation, because we were like, it's our senior year and now this stuff has happened. And then Blyth was one of the first. Our online classes continued, whereas like the public schools online classes did not continue till like quite a bit of time. So we were kind of like, why are we doing this work? We just want to do, and at that time we all thought we were going to go back to school. So we were really annoyed about, I think even I was, about how stuff was being handled during COVID. And I was like, I don't have the motivation to do this. I don't want to do online. Just let me be. But as soon as I finished and I'm looking back at stuff now, I am so happy they did that, because I know so many of my friends over the world, they didn't get to finish their exams. They didn't get to finish their, school and everything. And we did. And even though it was online, we still made it a better experience than a lot of people did it with the online situation that they had going on. And now for postgraduate, when we have to apply for unis and when we have to apply for and when we have to give stuff like our transcripts and exams, it is so much easier for us because we actually have the things. Whereas people in other countries and even maybe in public schools here, it's not as easy for them. And a lot of people had to change their uni plans because of that. So I'm very grateful they did that, even though we complained a lot. And I know the teachers got a bit annoyed of us sulking, but all I can say is thank you to them now, because if that did not happen, we all would be in quite a pickle.
Mm-hmm. And I have two parts to this question. Would you
Yeah.
recommend Blythe to other students? And if you do, what are your three biggest reasons why?
Okay, yes, I would recommend Blythe to other students. My very first reason is that, as I said before, is that if you're very academically inclined and you do want to get the grades, it is a perfect environment to do that because of the smaller class sizes. And it's very, and which helps you make connections with your teachers so that you can so that they can help you the best they can to their abilities. So the smaller class sizes.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, the faculty in itself, not only in helping you academically, but to even just how warm and comfortable and kind of nice they are, and the way that they really motivate you is something that I've actually not seen, and I'm not going to say not seen in other teachers. And there other I don't think there are any good or bad teachers. I just think is what teacher suits you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think secondly, the faculty is it it is really the way, sorry, they are very supporting, because the way that they get to know you, they really get to help you and tailor their teaching styles to your taste so you actually understand what you're learning. And also they support you in stuff other than academics. They, like, there was this writing competition once, and I really wanted to take part, and the faculty got to know about it, and they looked at my they looked at my they looked at my writing, and they were like, okay, this is great, and they told me where I should improve, which one I should get. And they, even though it wasn't academic and even though it's not something they had to do, but they just did it because it was for me, and they really motivated me towards that. And I think the third thing that the why Blythe, how flexible they are to attend to you. So what I mean by that is that, um as I said before, the timetables, so you get to choose your own timings, as in if you want to go in the morning session, because there are three time slots that we can go. So if you want to go first and second, if you want to go second and third, if you want to go first and third, that's up to you, and that's when you decide your subjects and when you want to do it. If you don't want to take bio this term, you can always take it the next term, and you can do, I don't know, physics this term or something.
Mm-hmm.
So and in that flexibility, it's also, as I said, for grade 12 students, it's really nice that we have that option of taking term 4 off, because it really gives you some time to sit down, reflect, do things that you want to do before uni that you couldn't do obviously in high school. And also they have these amazing night school and summer programs, and I took a night school class once, so because I wanted to do math uh, with the other subjects in my thing. So I did math and night school, and it was very, very good, because I didn't feel as if that I was too pressured or anything. And so that flexibility of me doing more than 2 subjects at one time if I wanted to was very good for me, because I was like, okay, I can get these over with, so I can focus on the next 2 much better than I did this term. So yeah, so I think these 3 things are something that I think a lot of people would appreciate.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say to a family that's on the fence about sending their child to Blythe? what would you say to them to bring them to the other side of the fence?
I think I'd say to them that if you really want your child to strive not only academically but also in their extracurriculars and grow in a very supportive and nurturing environment, then you really should pick Blyth, because the amount of support that we get from our faculty here, at least I haven't seen in other schools, and especially public schools, because it's not even their fault because they physically can't, but at least here they can.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, if your child will strive here, so please come and join our community.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, what would be your one piece of advice to a student that's just about to enter Blyth?
My one piece of advice would be, one, don't worry too much about your academics. When you work with your teachers, well, that will be taken care of. But please, please, please be one of those students that takes initiative to bring that school spirit in your community. Because when you do that and you link with 2 or 3 other people, your high school experience will be much, much better at Blyth. So get involved, take initiative, and don't worry too much of your studies, because your teachers and you can handle that.